Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 5:30 News on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Russ.
And I'm Jeanelle Slade. Parents at Washington Elementary asking for answers just one day after a third grade student brought a handgun to school.
Superintendent Greg Upham telling us the incident happened late in the school day and was brought to their attention by a concerned student who then told their teacher.
Now, Q2 first broke the story Tuesday night, and some 24 hours later, a few new details are being released, but some parents are demanding answers.
Q2's Samantha Sullivan has more.
Jennifer Mars, who has a first grader at Washington Elementary, was one of the many parents upset after they say they were not notified of an incident where a third grade student had a gun in school until hours after the school day was over.
I think they should call the parents immediately and let them know what's going on. I would have liked to have had a phone call.
Mars said that she never actually got a call and that they had no information until her husband received a robo-message around 10 o'clock last night.
That a student had brought a gun to school and that they were on lockdown for part of the day.
Superintendent Upham says he recognizes the frustration of the delay and the worry from parents.
We did our best to communicate with our parents last night when the event occurred, and we had information that we could share with the parents. And it was partly gathering information. It was also part of the robocall system that we have in place, and then also making sure that all parents have updated information with their cells and that type of situation, so that when we do send that information, that it goes to an active person.
Upham says it's also important for parents to safely store their firearms and to talk to their kids about communicating with adults if they see something wrong.
It's so important that parents and caregivers communicate with their parents, with their students and the schools, that it's such a welcoming environment that everyone feels safe to go to an adult at any point in time and share that information. This was a win because of that. So we want to continue to encourage that kind of communication and behavior.
In Billings, Samantha Sullivan, MTN News.
Upham says the district will continue to improve its robocall notification system to help get parents information just as soon as possible.
A 14-year-old Colstrip boy is charged with criminal endangerment after allegedly firing off a rifle and injuring another teenager.
Colstrip Police Chief Corey Hertz says that incident happened back on December 14th. Just before 10:30 at night. 4 teens between the ages of 14 and 17 were messing around with an AR-15 when the parents were out of town. Hertz says the gun fired, but the boy wasn't aware that it was loaded. Another teenager was struck with a bullet in the shoulder.
The victim was taken to a local hospital, then transferred to Billings for care. He has since been released. Prosecutors are still determining whether to formally or informally charge the teen.
Well, as the federal government remains shut down while President Trump and congressional Democrats battle over funding for a southern border wall, the president of the state Senate, Scott Sales, says he'd like Montana to give the president and the border wall some support in the form of $8 million of state money. Sales plans to ask the legislature to approve a resolution that will express support for the building that border wall. But he also wants to put some of Montana's taxpayer money where its mouth is. The Republican from Bozeman says he'll also sponsor a bill to spend the money as Montana's share of building the $5 billion wall. Sales says the $8 million figure is a fraction of the $5 billion, equal to Montana's percentage of the national economy. He says border security is of vital importance to the nation and that his bills are one way to press the issue.
In the legislature a long time. I haven't typically supported a lot of additional government spending, but I think this is of such a critical issue at a critical time. I think it behooves us to take a look at maybe prompting Congress to do what they should do. I've supported this concept. I think a lot of Americans voted for President Trump and Montanans on this one concept alone.
But Democratic House Leader Casey Schreiner of Great Falls told MTN News Wednesday the bills are just political grandstanding, and the Democrats in Helena are working on problems that are actually facing the state.
I would love to send a message to the people of Montana as they see their property taxes increase and taxes along the way, that we are going to focus on finding ways to reduce those costs than burdens on them, than sending money out of state to corporations to build a wall that, again, is not a Montana solution.
Republicans control majorities in the Montana House and Senate, but any spending bill on border wall funding must also get the signature of Democratic Governor Steve Bullock.
Well, just about 25% of government employees are directly impacted by the shutdown. Montana is apparently feeling one of the biggest burdens. The Washington Post reports that Montana is the fourth most affected area in the nation. Washington, D.C. easily takes the top spot, but then Alaska, Maryland, and Montana all round out the areas with the highest impact per capita. In Montana, there are about 14,000 federal employees, and the total number of affected employees is about half that, at 7,200. The top three areas feeling the brunt are agriculture, the Department of Interior, and Health and Human Services. Those areas make up about 6,500 of the 7,200 total. In all 50 states, the total salaries of those laid off tops $1.4 billion per week.
Well, the only thing certain about the stock market lately has been uncertainty. A lot of wild ups and downs. Gary Buchanan of Buchanan Capital says he doesn't see that changing until the government shutdown is settled and some of the perceived chaos in Washington settles down.
But I think volatility, we're going to have more of it. I think people, it's hard to get used to the kind of volatility we've had, and it unsettles investors. So that has to be resolved. And it did not affect confidence that much in 2018, but it's very important that level of confidence is returned.
After its worst December since the Great Depression, stocks have been rallying back as of late. The Dow was up again for the fourth consecutive day today.
A Billings man is behind bars facing escape charges after police say he kicked out the back of a patrol car, jumped out, and took off running. Prosecutors say 33-year-old Jacob Bradley had several warrants out for his arrest when police arrived to a disturbance at an apartment on 2nd Avenue South on Tuesday night. Officers reportedly found a capped syringe in Bradley's pocket. He was handcuffed and being escorted to a police car when he started to run the first time. Now, officers grabbed him, put him in the back of a police car, but then heard a loud pop and glass shatter. Police say Bradley kicked out the rear window, jumped out, and took off running again. Now, the officer stopped the car and deployed her taser, striking Bradley in the back. He was then handcuffed and taken to jail.
Montana roads proving to be safer for yet another year. The number of fatal accidents in 2018, 4 lower than 2017. 2018 still saw a higher number of deaths with 182. However, 2017 had 186. The state had decreases in fatalities on interstates and secondary roadways, but increases on urban, primary, and rural roads. Montana Highway Patrol Sergeant Patrick McLaughlin says that engineering, education, and enforcement have helped bring down those numbers overall.
You know, it impacts folks the most is enforcement. You know, we're out on the roads, we're stopping violators. And the thing, every time we stop one violator, everybody that goes by us is affected by that. They see the lights, they react to it. And so we're not just affecting the one person that we pull over.
The number of fatalities is the lowest the state has had in 3 years.
After more than 2 years of construction, the fully renovated ICU at St. Vincent Healthcare officially opened today, with 20 of 22 rooms likely to be occupied by day's end and no construction to work around. The staff hit the ground running in their new space. The $17 million remodel added 4 rooms and more than 3,000 square feet of space, doubling the size of every existing room. Now, well before construction began, St. Vincent employees toured Denver area hospitals to glean what those employees liked and disliked about their facilities. Every room features updated technology, including overhead patient lifts for ease of access and windows that let in natural light. ICU manager Susan Amundsen tells us that the renovations not only mean more space for technology staff and patients, but also for family members alongside their loved ones during crisis.
It provides us really a healing environment for the patients and families, and allowing us to have that dedicated family space really means so much to the healing of a patient in a critical situation.
Now, Amundsen said they are excited to be free and clear and get to work in a space that has everything they need to provide top-notch care in critical situations.
January is National Slavery and Human Trafficking Awareness Month.
So Tumbleweed, a Billings runaway program, is hoping to do its part by encouraging everyone to wear blue on Friday. Now, the Blue campaign offers law enforcement training to recognize victims who may be being trafficked. It also supports victim empowerment.
You can share your blue photos to social media with the hashtag #WearBlueDay and tag Tumbleweed in your pictures.
We have quite a problem in Montana. We've served just over 86 self-identified victims since 2015. And what we're finding is that the victims are Montana residents. They're from Montana, and their traffickers are from Montana.
And you can find out more information about Wear Blue Day on ktvq.com.
Coming up on tonight's 5:30 News, from beer to beets, Montana growers made their way to Billings to plant their roots at an education symposium.
And in sports, the Bobcats have quickly named a defensive coordinator. Scott has details on Kane Ione's return.
And coming up in weather, a series of storms in the Pacific Ocean are heading toward the west coast and eventually Montana. How much of the storms will hit Montana? We'll have the answer coming up in a few more minutes.
You're watching MTN News with Jeanelle Slade and Russ Riesinger. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire. And sports with Scott Breen. This is the 5:30 News on Q2, Montana's news leader.